Walters954 here from salesforcementor.com. Definitely a very interesting and new video series that's coming out, and this is on learning Salesforce development from start to finish. So I'm working with, or I don't know if it's working with, but I've found this website, talked to the owner, and it is admin2dev.com, a really great website. And I want to kind of go over it with all of you and show you what it's kind of about, and definitely jump through some of the content with you, because I know a lot of people are asking about how to become a Salesforce developer, how to learn development, and I think this website is helping to solve a lot of those issues as you start out as a developer, and even as an experienced developer. There's a lot of really great content in here that will help you out. So we're going to take a look at admin2dev.com, a really great website built by Harshdeep from, I think it's just admin2dev. I saw his post, I think it was on Reddit, and it was just kind of struck me as like, this is exactly what I would have wanted to have when I was first starting out. Step-by-step process, kind of going through the basics, and not just things that are on Trailhead, but what is an IDE, what is different things, programming in general, understanding different aspects about programming, because Trailhead is great for learning the Salesforce aspect of things, but for the overall type of development that you are trying to learn in these processes, it doesn't go over everything. So I think this site does a really good job of going over programming and Salesforce Apex development. So we're gonna just jump into it a little bit here. And thanks, we have admin2dev in the live chat here, so thanks for joining. And we're gonna just kind of jump into things here. So first off, this is the website, admin2dev.com. You always know it's a good website when there is a dark mode, so hats off to you. And we're just gonna kind of take a look around to first get acquainted with the site and then jump into some of the day one content. So we have a few things up at the top here on what's upcoming, which is a basic web development course. Spot on, because Lightning Web Components, Visualforce pages are all the rage, and everybody wants to continue to customize the Salesforce interface. We have the start here, which we will get to. There is a YouTube live stream link, so I'm going to click on that. Make sure to come in here and subscribe to admin2dev. He's looking for some additional, he's going to start building out that YouTube content, and I'm really excited for once admin2dev starts getting going here to see some of that content, and hopefully we're able to do some sort of collaborations in the future. And then there's the need help section, so that will bring you to my favorite chat app, a Discord. So there is an admin2dev.com Discord. Definitely check it out. I'm going to bring it up over here. Really cool content, and you'll see Harshdeep, aka King, in here with all of the links and the resources that you would need. The people that are here, there's a bunch of different areas where you can start to go over all of the different information in the course. So definitely join the Discord. I'm in there doing a bunch of chatting and checking things out. So get connected with the community and see what this is all about. Now we have programming for admins, learn at your own pace. It's 100% free. That is the biggest thing. There's a ton of paid courses out there, and you don't even know if they're any good. We are checking out this one to see how the content flows. I currently like how everything is detailed and documented out, and we'll jump into that a bit here. But the content is 100% free, made by Harshdeep and the admin2dev team. So hats off to you guys. I think you've done a really great job of putting this content together. Just the other thing, all of this content is free. Don't try to take it, or it's not open source, so don't put it somewhere else, pass it off as your own. This is his content. He's worked really hard, and their team has worked really hard on this, so just be respectful of that. And then always check out the about page. Go to Harshdeep's LinkedIn, send him a message, connect with him. This is how you can get to talk with the other people that are out here. So really cool stuff there. And now let's kind of jump into the content. So I'm actually going to go back to home, and let's click start here, just to see what we have going on. So we have some starter courses, Apex starter course, Visual Studio Code, looks like a mini course, which that's pretty cool. And then we have Git and collaboration. So right off the bat, we are looking at some things that maybe Salesforce doesn't go as in depth as we would want it to be. So if we take a look at like Git and collaboration, I think there's maybe one or two trails on here about GitHub, but really this will go a bit more in depth, teach you things that kind of move outside of the Salesforce realm and get you more into the software development space, and I'll say real programming in like air quotes, but the programming space. And then like Visual Studio Code, what is, like, how do you actually use it? This is the IDE of a Salesforce developer, but you know, we don't, if you've never used it before, you don't really understand how to use it at all. So these are some really cool courses. We're going to start with the Apex starter course here and just kind of take a look around before we jump into the day one content. So welcome to the course. It's tutorial, test videos, all of that stuff. You know, we want to learn Apex, and I think this is a really great starting place. We have some tools that we want to have. Rest in peace, Salesforce dark mode, at least for right now. Salesforce dark mode is not working. Oh, is this another Salesforce dark mode? We're going to have to check this out. Let's do that really quickly. I know the Salesforce, the actual Salesforce.com extension for Chrome that had dark mode in it is not working. We're going to try this dark mode out because we want to dark mode everything. We got a question in chat. So what should a junior Salesforce dev know in terms of skills? Could you give us an idea of what kind of code would look like as you ask for an interview? So that's a really good question. And I think that the junior dev should know a range of things, but it's okay for you to not know everything. In my mind, a junior dev should have the capacity to learn and understand everything, not everything, but a lot of the programming concepts that exist and that are out there. And really, a course like this will help because it'll give you the foundation to understand a lot of those things. So for Sam, that's a really loaded question. I have a few videos coming up about, you know, what a junior dev should know and some interviewing type of questions that'll be out there. But really, the biggest thing that I'm looking for in a junior dev is the spark to learn and the willingness to continue to break down and understand problems that may seem bigger than your role. So you don't need to know how the entire application works, but if I give you a section of it, you should be able to break it down and understand, you know, what does this loop do? What are the fields that are being updated and stuff like that. So lots more to come on that. If you are looking to get into the junior dev space, I would think, you know, a primer site and course like this would be really helpful to get your feet wet and then to continue to like build on certain projects that you work on. So as we look through here, there is a lot of really cool content. We have introduction to Apex programming, and this is a week-long course. You know, intro to programming, IDEs, data types. There's lists, object-oriented programming. There's a lot of stuff in here, and then there's even more. You know, section 2, section 3, section 4, and you know, so on. And then we jump into the mini courses. So this is a 25-day course or sections that we have in here, and I think that it's really well broken out because you can kind of do it at your own pace. I like the days-long format, and I think once we jump into things, we'll kind of just roll with the introduction to programming for day one, give you time to process, give you some extra resources to look at, but this will really kind of condense down what is programming for you. So just jumping back into the tools, we can download a text editor, Atom. I really loved Atom when I first started programming. I've now moved fully over into Visual Studio Code, but Atom is a great text editor. Postman, we're going to need that. Google Chrome, definitely get it. And then dark mode for GitHub, that is also a very interesting one. You know, I don't think I've had this extension either, so let's grab that. Let's grab that too. I love it. Chrome extensions, I mean, eat up all of my RAM, but so go ahead, download some of these if you don't already have them. If you have Visual Studio Code, then you maybe don't need Atom as a text editor. Postman, we will most likely need it as we start working with more applications and APIs as we start doing integrations. But definitely, at least for this day one stuff, we are going to just go ahead and walk through the content that we have in here. So taking a look at the introduction to programming and problem solving, and this is like the fundamental question for all development, computer science, and it's really just problem solving. You know, what tools do you have at your disposal, and what do you want to accomplish? It boils down to that. And in this first day one lesson, we kind of break it down into its simplest form so that you can kind of understand it in a regular day-to-day language, you know, so it's relatable. So as we have over here, program is writing a set of instructions to perform a single task. In non-technical terms, it's writing the solution to a problem. Simple as that. So really, it's all it is problem solving for a computer, and we will get into that. Computers read things from top to bottom in sequential order. So when we start to go ahead and make code and start to read code and understand it, it's very important to understand that the computer and the program is only doing what we tell it to do. And if you're an admin and you've written like flows or things like that, some of this will make sense because we flow charted out, or we step through all of the processes in here. So there's this solving problem scenario. You know, we wake up very early and we want we need energy. You know, we want some coffee. So what are some of the steps that you would do if you had to, you know, you've never done this before, and you need to lay it out in the simplest of terms so that nobody could get it wrong? You know, how would you get that coffee? You know, so we have to go to the kitchen, get the cup out, get some coffee, make it in a French press. And I'm not a coffee person at all, so doing a French press is very it's new to me. So we're gonna find out some interesting stuff here. But really, the essence of this is, you know, the problem is there's one problem, but the solutions are infinite, because, you know, you could order coffee. It doesn't even have to be coffee. It could be tea and an energy shot, or take a nap. A lot of these things, you know, there's a bunch of different ways to solve it. And when you do programming, there's also a bunch of different ways to solve those issues. So now we'll look at, you know, how do we go through the programmatic process of like solving this making coffee problem. So let's say that we've selected like, hey, we want to make coffee. How do we go through the process of solving this? And you know, as we read here, contrary to popular belief, writing code is the last part of programming. A good way to start programming is following this approach, which is identify the problem, flow chart it out, and then writing the actual code. And depending on where you are in your, let's say, development experience, you know, you should be following this. But if you have the experience, you can do some of this in your head or problem solve it. But when you're first starting out, especially when you're first starting out, you want to run through these steps and write your code last. Make sure you have the process that you're looking for before you even jump into writing any code, because you could be writing it backwards and not even know it. So we're going to identify the problem, and the problem is the human is tired and we want to stay awake. So the solution is get some coffee. You know, we have some really interesting, cute text here, like get humans some coffee, which I think is pretty funny. So we've identified the problem. Now we want to flow chart it out so we know the actual process to go down. And we can see here with this really in-depth flow chart of how to make coffee. So we start out here with make coffee, then we want to gather the cups and the ingredients. We could even, you know, go as far as to say, like, list out the individual ingredients that we want to put in. And when you're doing programming, you'll have to do stuff like that to list out each of the individual pieces for it. So get the cups, get the sugar, get the milk, get the coffee itself, and everything else. I guess the French press too. If we're using a French press, I think that's something else. But we have over here, measure the ingredients. So put 100 grams of coffee in a French press, pour it out. Is the water boiling? because we need the water to be hot. Nobody's gonna, I guess, drink cold coffee. So you have to sit there and wait to wait for the coffee to start to boil. Then we have pour water over the French press, wait 1 minute for it to be done, and we continue. Like when we think of this process, we kind of you have to have it in like an iterative fashion, because as we sit there and wait for the timer to get done, we have to either check a timer or have something that alerts us. So that's really that's a part of the process that isn't drawn out explicitly in here, as we're looking for our what's going to notify us or initiate us to be able to know that the coffee is ready in our 1 minute timer. But we'll continue on. This is a basic flow charting, all things that you'll have to think of when you're writing code. But it's pour the remaining water into the French press, and is the timer of 4 minutes done, wait, and then pour coffee into the mug. And you can even have drink at the end of this. So we've listed out a really good, well-defined flow of what we need to get done to drink our coffee. And if you're a person who has maybe never drunk coffee before, never gotten out of your current location, it's go to the kitchen, grab the cups, grab the ingredients. You cannot go wrong with a process like this, and this will translate really well once we start writing the actual program, because computers don't know anything. Assume that they can't do anything automatic. We have to tell them step by step what to do at each point. Whenever your code is running wrong, it's not the program's fault. It's not the computer's fault for the most part. It's really your fault, because you are telling it exactly what to do. There's no ifs, ands, or buts around that. So as you go through the process and there's bug and you're debugging, it's really, we have incorrectly told the computer something to do, and it's not doing what we expected it to do. Maybe we made some assumptions, or we overlooked a step in here. So now that we've identified the problem, we have solutioned it out fairly well. Now we can actually get to writing our code, and admin2dev.com, really great job of putting this code out here in this type of fashion so that people can understand it. And this is, when we take a look at this is called pseudocode. So it's code written in more human readable language so that you can understand it and you can give it out to anybody, and they can kind of get what is going on here. So if we take a look at this first step, and all of this code is going to translate from the different flow charts that we have here. So all of the different pieces that we have up here are going to correspond directly with the flow chart that we have. So once we look at this, we're gonna get our cup, get our coffee, get our water, and we even have how many grams that we need for all of this stuff. Get the pot, get the timer. So we were talking about that earlier. How are we going to know once this goes off? And that's a big chunk of our first step of the flow chart. Now, since we're going to make this coffee using our French press, we're going to put some of this put all of this together in some sort of in programmatic pseudocode fashion. So we're gonna put the cup, the French press, the pot on the table. We need to pour our water into the cup and start the pot, which will start it from boiling, and set the timer for 60 seconds. Once that timer goes off, then we're going to be able to use the rest of it, and the water will be, the coffee will start going through from its process. After the timer is done, so we're going to let the coffee brew, put the coffee 100 grams into our French press. Pour 1/5 of the water from the pot into the French press, set our timer for 30 seconds, pour the water. So all of this is human readable, step-by-step instructions. That's not a flow chart, but a step-by-step instructions on how to break everything down and create this programmatic process, this logical statement that we can use, or this logical process that we can use to pour coffee. Because just imagine if we flipped one thing instead of the other. We said pour everything in the French press at the beginning and not at the end. So now so the coffee is ready. Let's pour it into the cup, and then finally at the end we're going to drink it. And this is what the process looks from start to finish. You know, if you want to programmatically follow all of these steps, this is what you would do as a program, you know, start to finish, to create coffee and to go ahead and, you know, make some coffee so that we can solve our original problem, which was we needed energy, right? This is a really great pseudocode example, very relatable example for a lot of the admins out there, from Heuristic and the admin to dev team, on how to take your problem, break it down into flowcharts so you understand the different steps for it, and then drink your coffee at the end so that you're happy and energized. And, you know, that's really it. Congratulations, you are now a programmer. This is the core essence of it. You don't have to write a single piece of code to be a programmer. You need to understand how to break down problems so that a computer can understand them, and then you can write the code for it. Just like it was said at the beginning, you don't, you know, a big portion of programming is just solutioning, figuring out what your problem actually is, and breaking down those problems into their most smallest pieces so that you can start working on it and then create the code behind it. So the code should be the last part for you. Make sure to solution and figure out what your actual problems are before you even jump into anything. And that's day one of everything on the admin to dev introduction to programming. You know, it's really simple. It may be a lot to take in for anybody that's brand new to programming, but really this is just problem solving, breaking down the problem, and going ahead and writing it out in such a fashion so that anybody can reproduce the problem that you're trying to solve. So that's going to be it for today. We may jump in again sometime later this week or next week. Do check out admin2dev.com. Really great from Heuristic and the admin to dev team for creating the site. There are other really great tutorials on here for Visual Studio Code, GitHub, and coming soon for web development. Join the Discord community. They do a really great job of keeping up to date and helping each other out. And then there's also the SFDX Discord as well. And definitely, if you have the funds, have the means, support admin to dev. Heuristic's doing all of this 100% free, so it's something that he's going above and beyond his normal day and his normal life to create this content. So just be thankful for all of this free content that we are getting here in the Salesforce community, and it's really great that you all are creating this content. So I'm Walters954. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this and for the upcoming series, which this is going to be on. We're hopefully going to be walking through a lot more of this content, and you know, keep doing great stuff. Let me know in the